Hi, my name is Przemek Chojecki, and this episode is about should you do a PhD, and especially should you do a PhD if you want to go outside of academia and get a job in the industry, for example, becoming a data scientist or having another kind of job in business. So the short question is PhD is not necessary, however, it might give you new opportunities, especially if you're a data scientist. PhD may give you chance to actually become a medium level data scientist much faster or senior level data scientist much faster than if you won't have this kind of experience. But the reason for that is actually pretty simple. If you think about it, studying is basically this idea of getting the experience of how to find information, and PhD is basically the experience and learning of how to find out new things on your own. So PhD is basically a kind of certificate that certifies that you are able to do research on your own, that you are able to find new things on your own, that you can do research unguided and find exciting new things. So having that in mind, having a PhD is a strong indicator that in a higher level jobs you will be able to perform pretty well because you are independent, you will be able to find and guide others along the way. Of course, you don't have to do a PhD to have this kind of skills, and you can gain these skills on different kind of more senior tracks or management tracks along the way. What's really crucial is that you'll have this kind of knowledge of how to perform research, how to do new tasks on your own. So the answer to should you do a PhD also lies in do you want to learn how to do research in a current academia setting? Because it's not the same as just doing science for the science sake. You will have to go through, for example, you will have to teach students, you will have to go into different administrative duties, which might be fun for some of you. It wasn't so much for me. I didn't like really didactics. I didn't like really teaching students to some extent, of course, because I like smaller groups than larger ones. So it really matters, like, do you want to stay in the academia also in the end? This is also one of the questions you should ask yourself. Because if you want to stay in academia, then the answer is pretty clear. You should do a PhD because that's the natural career path in order to stay in academia, in order to become a full-time scientist. That's the easiest way to do it anyway. Because if you were to go to the industry and get for the more research type positions, then you probably would be asked to do an equivalent of PhD in some way. Because as I said, you should think about PhD as the certificate which basically certifies that you're able to do research and find new things on your own, unguided. So having said that, if you, however, don't know whether you should go into academia or stay in business, or you're just unsure, then you should basically try, because it really doesn't cost much to start a PhD, especially in Europe or in other countries where you don't have to pay to do a PhD. Basically, you can just apply for a PhD program, start doing PhD, and if you really don't like it, you can always resign. There are many stories about people resigning the first semester, resigning after half a year of doing a PhD, and there's no shame in that. And it's even like a good story for the potential employer later on, because you could explain that you went on to a PhD and then you decided that it's not for you, you prefer a faster paced track, and that's why you went into business. And it always makes for a good story. So if you don't know whether you should do a PhD or not, then definitely you can try it. It doesn't, especially if it doesn't cost much, because if you were to do the PhD in the US, it's mostly, especially if you don't get a stipend, you have to pay a pretty hefty price to do it. So think about those issues. But apart from that, if you love the science, you love making research, you love learning about new stuff, then PhD is a great period of life where you can study in one particular direction everything that comes across. And it's really great. You get to interact with professors, with other PhD students, you get to go to conferences and learn really a lot of cool new stuff. So highly recommended from that perspective if you like genuinely like the science. I love the maths. That was the principal cause of me going into a PhD and then staying in the academia for a couple of years. I generally liked mathematics. I loved doing that. I loved reading research papers. So I didn't even think about all the administrative stuff. I didn't even think about would I make more money in business or stuff like that. That wasn't really important. I mean, I wanted to do full-time mathematics, and being in academia allowed me to do that. Right now, if I were to do something more practical like data science, machine learning, then I would start thinking whether PhD is a good idea or not, because you have many research units from OpenAI and DeepMind to going to Facebook, Microsoft, and doing research over there. However, if you are applying for those research positions, still, they really look, it looks good if you have a PhD, because you already know how to do research. You don't have to really learn along the way. So in those cases, doing a PhD is really great. So I really don't recommend doing PhD if you're just in it for a title, because those will be like horrible years for you. That would be a pure nightmare where you will have to study really hard, and it's not worth it in the end, because you get maybe this uptick in a CV, in a resume, but probably you could get this uptick on, or this higher level doing other stuff, like for example going to some kind of a management fast track, or doing a bunch of different jobs, or maybe starting your own startup, or generally thinking about more creative ways than just going the route of PhD. So yeah, if you have any more questions regarding the PhDs and should you do it, ask me in the comments. I try to answer that and maybe make a new video later on answering those questions. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode.